All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the VectorVest mobile coaching stream. My name is Patrick France, senior instructor here at VectorVest. Hopefully, you guys are all doing well. If you guys can hear me out there, type in VV Nation in the chat. Let's see everybody bright and early here this morning. Let's see who's here first. Also, we should be live both on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you guys are having any issues, just let me know. I'd be glad to take a look at that. But everything should be good to go. Seeing more and more people jumping in, watching while I'm at work. Hey, welcome. Glad to have you here. All right, so once again, welcome to the VectorVest weekly mobile coaching stream. My name is Patrick France. I'm a senior instructor here at VectorVest, and I will be walking you guys through the VectorVest Stock Advisory app. If you're not familiar with it, it's by far the most comprehensive trading app out there and allows you to manage your portfolio in a matter of minutes rather than hours. So if you guys want to learn about it, see how it can make your investing a lot easier, make sure to stick around. And as always, smash that like button if you're brand new here or if you're just getting in here, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. So that way you get notified of all the new content we have coming out for you weekly. All right, there's Drew, seeing some VV Nation showing up in the chat. Hey, Drew, hopefully you're doing well this morning. All right, so what we're going to be talking about here today is BUZZworthy stocks. It's a list that we started a while back, and it's based upon a popular ETF, and we're going to be revisiting that and see if there's any ideas that we could potentially take advantage of to help make some money in this market. Now, as always, before we jump into that though, we will take a look at what's going on in the overall market. Then we'll dive into taking a look at that watch list. And as always, we'll finish off with the fan favorite of analyzing any stock that you want to take a look at in less than 10 seconds with the mobile app. So if you have stocks you want to see analyzed, as always, stick around towards the very end. We'll analyze those stocks for you. And that way you can see how powerful the VectorVest software can be for your own portfolios. All right, there we go. Seeing that, looks like the notification just went out. So welcome everybody just getting in here. Welcome to our weekly mobile coaching stream. We've got a lot of stocks to take a look at here today and a lot of stocks to talk about. So make sure to stick around. Let's go ahead and jump right into it here. All right, so as always, starting off at the very top of the homepage here, the Dow is down about 0.8%. The NASDAQ is down about 0.3%. S&P 500 is down about 0.4%. VectorVest Composite also down about 0.4%. Therefore, that has our market timing gauge 3 ticks into the yellow. Therefore, the market is neutral, and VectorVest advocates caution when buying stocks at this time. Hey, good morning, Cigar. Good morning, Mash. John, good morning. Welcome, everybody, to this week's stream. Glad to have everybody here. Starting to see everybody getting into the room here this morning. Also, good morning, Mike. Hopefully, you're doing well this morning. All right, so since we have 3 yellow lights, as we know, or 3 ticks into the yellow, as we know, that gets its colors right from the very top here of the color guard. And as we can see, both on the price, the RT, and the buy to sell ratio, we're higher on a week over week basis, but still lower day over day. So therefore, we're going to finish off most likely with 3 yellow lights unless that situation changes by the end of the day. So just keep an eye on this as we move forward here today. Goal, what do you think about it? So Mohammed, as always, if you want to see your stocks analyzed, make sure to stick around towards the very end. Also, if you are a VectorVest subscriber, make sure to tune in to that market update you can find here. Every single Monday, we recap our view on gold. So if you want to see our weekly report on gold, make sure to check out the Monday's report there. I don't know. Shh, don't tell anybody the secrets there, Mash. All right. So looking at it, going back into the color guard though, as we can see, we have the 3 yellow lights across the board. The MTI is also, actually, surprisingly enough, breaking the trend. It's higher day over day and week over week. So therefore, setting us up for a little bit of a divergence here so far today. Now, as we get into the trend column, as always, we show 2 parts of the trend each and every day. The first part of the trend is what we like to call the primary wave, which is just simply the short-term or weekly trend of the market. As we can see, it is up since we're higher when compared to 5 trading days earlier. Second part is looking at the underlying trend, or the MTI, and since the MTI remains below 1, the underlying trend in the market is down currently. And then last but not least, we want to take a look at the calls column, which stands for our confirmed calls. Now, these are our last signal we get to get into the market and our last signal we get to get out. So therefore, we never want to ignore a confirmed call change. And as we can see, we still remain in that confirmed down situation as of today. And then as we scroll down a little bit more, we want to take a look at the advanced declines. As always, whenever we're going to be buying a stock or buying a contra ETF, whichever way we're deciding to play the market, we want to make sure we take a look at the advanced declines to make sure we have the market in our favor. And we prefer to see a 2-to-1 bias with this. So if there's twice as many stocks advancing than declining, and we have a green light showing up or a time to be buying, that would give us the okay to be buying. Well, since the market's moving lower right now, we want to see twice as many stocks declining than advancing. So currently we're sitting at 33% of stocks moving higher, 53% of stocks moving lower, and 14% of stocks unchanged. So therefore not meeting that 2-to-1 bias we typically like to see. Hey, good morning, Reese. Hey there, AJ. Good morning. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Hey, Glenn. Glad to see you over on the Facebook side. There we go. So that seems to be working as well. So good. Everything seems to be working here this morning. No technical hiccups that we got so far. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and jump into our main topic of discussion here today. So let's go ahead and jump into the premium watch list over here on the left. Oh, I've got to restart it. 1 second here. There we go. And I will preface this with, if you don't see these, that tells me that you're not on the premium version of the VectorVest Stock Advisory app. So you have to make sure you're on at least the highest version of just the mobile, or if you're on a desktop app, or if you have the desktop app, then you get this included as well. All right, so what we're going to be taking a look at is the Buzz stocks, and this comes from that ETF, the Buzz ETF. And it tells you a little bit about this portfolio or about this watch list right here next to it, where it says stocks made up of the Buzz ETF, and the fund seeks to track as closely as possible to the price and yield performance of the Buzz Next Gen AI US Sentiment Leaders Index. So US Sentiment Leaders Index, let's make sure everybody understands what that means. So US Sentiment Leaders, so the stocks that are the most commonly talked about. And as the old saying goes, money goes where money grows. So if you're looking for the stocks, if you're a momentum trader, a short-term trader, and you're looking for the stocks that are most talked about, well, the Buzz stocks are going to be a great place to go. And the best part about using the VectorVest app or the VectorVest Stock Advisory app is you get the added insight or the added benefit of getting the VectorVest rank analysis. So as always, whenever you pull up a watch list inside of VectorVest, it'll default by our master indicator VST, standing for value, safety, and timing. So 2 parts of that are fundamental, 1 part are technical, and it brings the best combination of those right to the top of the list. So as we can see, some popular names here as of late: AMD, Enphase, NVIDIA. NVIDIA has been one that's been making headlines based upon some of the news going on about certain people trading that stock there. But then you also get some other bigger names such as Micron, Tesla, Google, Home Depot, Netflix, CRISPR, Moderna, GameStop, ExxonMobil, Oxy, which is that big Warren Buffett stock right now, Visa, Apple, J&J. So you can see a lot of really, really popular, commonly talked about names. So the great thing about this, once again, is not only do you have a list of some of the most talked about names, some of the most well-known names out there right now, but you also get that power of VectorVest to help you bring the best potential ideas to the top, and the ones you want to stay away from get pushed to the bottom, so that way you don't have to worry about that. I see Drew, Apple is in my top 10. Well, there you go. Apple's in this list as well. So let's go ahead and start taking a look at the very first one. Now, as we know, the market's been in a pretty substantial sell-off ever since about November of last year, and a lot of these stocks have been beaten up. So therefore, we could see some good bargain hunting opportunities with this list. So you're not only getting into some popular names that have a lot of following behind them, so therefore you're going to have liquidity with that, but you're also going to be able to find the ones that are, really giving you some of the best potential with a good discount currently. So how often do the Buzz stock list update? So Asif, the Buzz list is updated. It's streaming, so everything is updated in real time. The only thing that changes is if they ever change anything in the Buzz holdings, then that would change here. But as far as I'm aware, there hasn't been any changes to the Buzz holdings in a while. So I'd have to go back and check the exact time that was put in there. But at the same time, these are still going to be some of the hottest talked about stocks out there right now. All right. So as we look at the VectorVest analysis though, we start off with the 4 indicators at the bottom. And as always, they're cast on a scale of 0 to 2. So above 1 is good and below 1 is bad. The first one we take a look at is the RV, or relative value, which is looking at the long-term potential of stock over the next 1 to 3 years. As we can see for AMD, it's above 1 at 1.51, so therefore that tells us this stock has good long-term potential over the next 1 to 3 years. The second indicator is an indicator of risk, or how consistent is the company's balance sheets. If it's above 1, that indicates less risk associated with it. Below 1, more risk associated with it. So looking at AMD with an RS of 1.39 tells us it has really good fundamentals, less risk associated with it compared to the average stock out there. So this one with a high RV and a high RS would make it classify it as more of a prudent stock. And then the third indicator is where we start to get into the technical aspect, the RT, or relative timing. It's looking at the short-term price trend, and therefore if it's above 1, the short-term trend of the stock would be up. Below 1, the short-term trend of the stock would be down. So at 1.09, we're seeing it finally turning back up. It's been below 1 for quite some time, so we're seeing that short-term trend start to finally pick back up here. And that's what you want to see. No matter what you say about the fundamentals, if you're going to be getting into a stock, you always want to make sure it's moving higher upon purchase. You want to make sure the stock is in an uptrend. You don't want to try to catch a falling knife and trying to buy the stock as it's in a downtrend, hoping it's just going to reverse. So therefore, if ever you're going to be buying a stock, you want to make sure that RT is above that level of 1. Only exception would be bottom fishing, but we're not going to get into that here today. All right, so let's go ahead. Overall, the stock is favorable. Let's go ahead and scroll down a little bit more. Right now, though, the price is currently overvalued by about $10 a share, meaning you are paying a little bit of a premium for it. But as we know, it's been below that level over the last few weeks, so it has been fairly valued and starting to move higher. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the graph. And right now, what we see is a 9 and 20 simple moving average at the top, and we have earnings per share at the bottom. So let's go ahead and change this, get it set up to what we like to see. So we'll go to the graph settings at the bottom here, and we'll go to the moving averages and change it to an exponential, both exponential. We'll do an 8, and then we'll do a 3. 3 and an 8 are my preferred moving averages. Everybody has different preferences. That's just my personal preference. So then let's go ahead into the lower graph and change it from earnings per share, because these are going to be more short-term oriented, more swing trade style of stocks. And let's go ahead and put on MACD. We've been talking about MACD a lot here. Let's just stick with that. Make it easy for everybody out there. And so looking at AMD, we can see the MACD is starting to finally get back into positive territory on a short-term basis. The MACD line is greater than that signal line, so therefore it's indicating a short-term uptrend. And then if the MACD and signal line can break that level of 0, that would indicate a new longer-term uptrend starting to form. And this is what you want to see. Also, it's kind of hard to see it on this time frame. Let's see if we zoom out a little bit. Nope. If we put it back on a 6-month, let's go ahead, zoom in. I'll maximize this here to make it easier to see. But then if you compare the low right there around the end of April compared to this low here around the beginning of July, we can see over that same time frame, the MACD is actually steadily moving higher and hitting a higher low, therefore setting us up for that bullish divergence we talk about probably at least once a week. And that's exactly what you want to see. So not only do you have some signs that this stock is getting ready to reverse and start to move higher, but you also have, good fundamentals behind it. You see good price action starting to come in. So therefore, all we got to do is just wait to see the market give us that okay to go ahead and buy. And this could definitely be one that we could take advantage of. If we get out of this one, go into the next one, Enphase. This is one that I talked about actually yesterday during our afternoon market action with Glenn Tompkins and myself. And this is one I really like. It is more of a conservative stock currently, since it has, poor long-term potential, but it does have better fundamentals, so less risk compared to the average stock out there. And then the main thing with this one, though, is timing. Timing is everything. 1.71 tells us this stock is in a really strong short-term uptrend, so overall stock's favorable. Also, as to mention, as we talked about yesterday, this one does have earnings. What is it? The 26th, I believe. Either the 26th or later today. I'd have to go back and double check, but it has earnings coming up, so therefore it's more of an earnings play, more so than anything else to keep an eye on. But we take a look at the chart. Go ahead and maximize it. We can see the stock's been in a nice steady uptrend here from bottom left to upper right over the last 6 months. You're meeting this level of resistance right around 220 a share, but if we break above that level of resistance here, then that would indicate, more upside potential. And with an earnings beat, that could easily see the stock moving back to the 250 range, roughly 240 to 250 range. And the expectations for their earnings are that they're going to be growing about 60% year over year, which is a huge increase. So good fundamentals, less risk associated with it, good potential opportunity for an earnings play, especially when it's retesting that level of resistance as we speak. And if it breaks above that, you could see a nice run into it as well. All right, so end phase is our next one. Taking a look, NVIDIA. So NVIDIA, good long-term potential, less risk associated with the stock. You have a nice steady short-term uptrend. So overall, the stock is favorable. Now, this one has been getting a lot of publicity lately due to politics and certain political figures, telling or having their significant other buying the stock while they potentially have an effect on what the outcome of this, of the chip bill, if you will, coming out. So this one is a little bit more interesting, but at the same time, with the chip bill, semiconductors could do extremely well, could see a nice boost coming into those. And therefore, that's why we saw AMD coming in here. NVIDIA is now coming in here. A lot of semiconductor stocks now starting to make their way higher here in the list. Looking at it though, you also have that bullish divergence, suggesting that upside potential may outweigh downside risk. The way we see that is we can see the price has been steadily moving lower here over the last couple of months, but over the same time frame, the MACD has been steadily moving higher, indicating that downward pressure is dissipating and potentially getting ready to turn positive or turn higher here in the near future. So how would you play this? Once again, first off, make sure that we have the market moving in our favor. And secondly, use a trend line, connect these highs, wait for that breakout if it hasn't already occurred. Pfizer is one, just moving sideways right now. If we go back, let's take a look at Pfizer. RT is at 1.12, so it is in a slight uptrend right now. But if you're more of a short-term momentum trader, then we can go back out of here. As I stated earlier, one of the big important benefits of utilizing the Stock Advisor app is the ability to use the rank analysis. So if you're looking for the momentum plays, then just simply resort it by RT or relative timing. Once again, that short-term price trend indicator. So if we look here, we can see CRSP coming into the top with an RT of 1.75, telling us it's in a really strong short-term uptrend. Going and taking a look at that, poorer fundamentals, so more of a speculative play, but the timing at 1.75, great for a momentum trader here. We go tap on the graph, take a look at it. You can see it's been in a nice steady run for quite some time. And pulling back a little bit here right now. So, with the markets being lower, no surprise there. But if we start seeing this turning back around or getting some consolidation like we did throughout this period, that could definitely be an interesting play for another big run higher here. Get out of this one, go into the next, Beyond Meat. Beyond Meat's been in a steady downtrend, now starting to reverse. MACD starting to move higher on a short-term and a longer-term basis. The 3 positive. It's coming out of a sell-rated stock to a hold-rated stock. So you're definitely seeing some nice signs coming from this one. Then we get into one of my favorites, GameStop here. Split coming up as of tomorrow. It will be trading under the new split adjusted price. And so it's been on a really big run ever since the announcement of that. They just released their NFT marketplace, which has been doing extremely well, already ranking, I think, in the top 2 of all the different marketplaces out there. So really positive signs with that. And that's without any major announcements and just even a soft release. Hasn't even had a full grand opening, if you will. So still a lot of upside potential with that. Seeing a little bit of pullbacks right now, but at the same time, you've had a pretty big run. One day doesn't make a trend. It seems to be recovering a little bit. Plus, you had this level of resistance right around 150 a share. and it came down, kissed that, and looks like it's bouncing off as we speak. Some political are going, production, Nvidia's in the middle. It's going to be interesting to see on that one. But at the same time, we talked about it a few weeks ago during the afternoon market action. And a lot of the semiconductor and the chip production has already been in the works of relocating or expanding upon where they have production at, bringing it not only to the United States, but other countries around the world to help diversify that. So that way, less risk of supply chain shocks. And if you have that issue, or if you have that, diversification, then, could produce more than just some political issues there. So going to be interesting to watch how that plays out. Does the VectorVest mobile app provide text notifications? Example, when a stock reaches a particular price to text me. So they have not text notifications, Cody, but they do app notifications, and you can utilize those. For example, let's say we wanted to set a notification up for your GME. Well, actually, let's go to another one. Let's go RKT. So we tap on that little bell icon in the upper right, create new alert, set that price point, let's say $10. I'll just manually type it in here. There we go. And then you hit create. And then the manage stock alerts. Receive notification when a stock alert has set, or you have set is triggered. So this will give you the in-app notification, which will pop up right at the top of the screen. Or on your phone, it'll pop up. You probably get those kinds of alerts all the time. So it's not going to be a text message, but it'll be an app notification alert for you. And if you want to change that or delete it, just simply go into it and then swipe to the left. Not a problem. Hey, great question. And that's one of the great things about it. We've talked about the alerts a lot here over the last few months, but there's another great reason, or there's another great utility for those, is if you find a stock you like, but maybe it's, let's say, getting into end phase, going back to end phase. It's, right at that level of resistance at 220. And you want to know when it breaks out of that level of resistance. Well, go set up the alert. You looked at the chart, that level of resistance is at 220. Tap on the bell icon, put it in, let's say, for 221. There you go. And then you just simply create the alert. And that way, when it breaks out of that level of resistance, then you get the in-app notification telling you, hey, the stock you've been wanting to get into has finally got to that point. Therefore, you don't miss out on a great opportunity. Now, if you want to give it a little bit more wiggle room, let's say $1 on a $200 stock isn't enough, increase that amount or put it to whatever you're comfortable with there. All right, so getting out of that, going back into it. Here, once again, if you're looking for short-term momentum plays, these are some great opportunities. And you can go down that list and you can see a lot of them have that buy rating already. And so therefore, take a look. As always though, stick with stocks that have an RT of at least 1.1 or higher. 1.1 is my personal minimum cutoff that I would consider. Obviously if you're looking for more momentum plays, then you're going to be looking around the 120s, 130s, and then everything above. All right, now if we go back up to the top, if you're looking for, let's say, not necessarily timing, but you're looking for some of the most popular the most commonly talked about stocks, but that have some of the best fundamentals out there. They'll look at RS. RS is a great fundamental indicator. Once again, relative safety is looking at the consistency and the predictability of a company's financial performance. And therefore, the stocks that are increasing their performance or increasing their earnings quarter over quarter, year over year, are going to have a higher RS rating. So looking at it from a safety standpoint, AMD comes in the lead with a RS rating of 1.39. Google also meeting it 1.39. Home Depot 1.33. Nvidia 1.3. Micron 1.26. Tesla's coming in here. Sorry, folks. It looks like YouTube is having a little bit of buffering issues. So I apologize if you guys are having any issues on your end. Unfortunately, I just got a little notification from YouTube telling me that. So if you guys are having issues, I do apologize for that. But as we move forward here, Johnson & Johnson, Visa, Microsoft, Nike, Pfizer, Netflix even coming in here with an RS above 1. So therefore, you have a lot of great candidates to go through to find what suits you the best. And now, as always, just because one stock comes to the top of the list doesn't mean that's a stock that you have to go out and buy. Everybody is different. What I may like, somebody else in the chat right now may not like. And what they may like, somebody else in the chat may not like. So therefore, that's the benefit, or that's the great thing about having, a few different stocks to choose from, is everybody can pick what suits them the best. Just because AMD has an RS of 1.39 doesn't mean that Home Depot may not have a better opportunity for you, or may not be a better opportunity for you. Uh-oh, Mark. Hope your appointment goes well. But yeah, so therefore, take a look at, let's say, the top 5 or top 10, depending on how much time you want to put into it. But, don't just settle for one just because it's top of the list. Look at the chart, because a chart is like a big picture of the stock. And as the old saying goes, a picture's worth 1,000 words. And let the chart sell itself to you. If you're looking at the chart for more than, let's say, 30 seconds, most likely you're trying to find a reason to convince yourself to buy that stock rather than having the stock sell itself to you. And with all these different stocks in here, there's no reason to settle on just one, or no reason to settle on the first one you see. So be picky with that one. All right, so with that, that's going to do it for this list here. Once again, there's some great opportunities, and a lot of popular names have been showing up here in the media as of late. And, some of these stocks have a lot of great potential for everybody out there to make some money and really find ones that suit them the best, knowing that they're commonly talked about stocks, they're going to have good liquidity, and they're going to have some good opportunities here in the near future. So let me know your guys' thoughts on this list. Do you guys ever use this watch list? Let me know your thoughts in the comments as well. Or which stock out of this list is your favorite stock so far? And while you guys are doing that as well, let me know what stocks you guys want to see analyzed. And we can go ahead, jump right into that, start analyzing your stocks. And while you're doing that as well, make sure, as always, smash that like button. If you're new here, smash that like button if you've been here for a while. But if you haven't done that already, go ahead and hit that like button right now. All of that helps us out, doesn't cost you a thing, and shows your support for the channel. So if you like these streams on a weekly basis, make sure, as always, hit that like button there. All right, so while I'm waiting on stocks to come in, there we go. Are these Buzz stocks on the desktop? Yes, Drew, they are. I don't remember off the top of my head which aspect they're in. Let me go ahead and see if I can pull that up real fast. One moment here. All right, so they are going to be in the searches, special searches folder under the Unisearch tool. And you'll see Buzz stocks showing up there. Let me see if there's a watch list for it. I don't remember if it got put in as a general one. No, I think it's, so you have to go to the Buzz stocks Unisearch search for it. You're welcome. All right. So let me go ahead, get this pulled back up. And let's go ahead and take a look at your stocks now. CTRM. Man, that's a name I have not seen in quite a while. And Lou's saying, and don't forget, if we're in a bear territory, we must be careful and not greedy. Exactly. I couldn't agree more with that statement. For right now, everybody, you're seeing a lot of major analysts and big popular TV heads out there talking about how the bear market is over and the market's starting to move higher, and that the end of the bear market is in the past, and so we're in a new bull market. Be careful. I said this in our Jockey Club a couple of days ago. I will say it again here for everybody that that's not part of our Jockey Club. Treat it as a bear market rally, not as a new bull market rally. We're not quite out of the woods to really say that this is the start of a full bull market or new bull market run. So therefore, take advantage of this rally that we're noticing, but trade it as it's a bear market rally and not a new start to a bull market rally. So therefore, be a little bit quicker with your entries, quicker with your exits. Don't hesitate to lock your profit in, and make sure you're finding stocks that really truly meet what you're looking for, and that they're moving up higher with the overall market and not trending lower or just moving sideways right now. All right, so let's get into it. ADIL, let's go take a look. ADIL, so this stock, poor long-term potential. It has a lot of risk associated with it. You're in a steady free fall. Overall, the stock is not favorable. It's been in a steady decline for quite some time. Stock, even at 79 cents, is still overvalued currently. Earnings yield, negative 68%, not what you want to see. DNA, poor long-term potential, a lot of risk associated with it. However, you are in a strong short-term uptrend. So if you're a short-term momentum trader, a speculative trader, this could be one to keep an eye on. Overall, it has enough momentum to boost the poor or lack of fundamentals. So therefore, the overall stock is favorable currently. Let's go see what else we got here. CTRM. CTRM, good long-term potential, but you do have a lot of risk associated with this stock. It's in a steady decline. Overall, the stock's about average. Matthew is saying, what stock do you highly recommend now? Well, Matthew, depends on your personal investment style. Here at VectorVest, we're not trying to lock everybody in and trying to create pump and dumps saying everybody has to buy this one stock. This is the only stock that we're looking at right now. Everybody should be getting into it. That would create a massive pump and dump, and a lot of people would get hurt. We wouldn't be around for as long as we have been if we did that. So therefore, VectorVest gives the ability to find stocks that meet your specific investment style. Whether you're a prudent investor, conservative investor, a speculative investor, or an aggressive investor. So depending on your investment style, that would depend on what stocks you'd be looking at. We cover lots of different styles of those stocks here every single week. So you can go back and watch some of the replays. But one thing I will say, regardless of what style of investor you are, as always, market timing trumps any individual rating and recommendation on a stock. So if the overall market timing that we'll take a look at here in a few minutes tells us it's not time to be buying, then no matter how good the stock is, no matter what the rating is on it, we would simply hold off from buying it for that day. All right, looking at Castor Maritime. Castor Maritime, good long-term potential, but a lot of risk associated with it. It's been in a steady decline. Overall, stock is about average at best. But it has a sell rating, and with the timing being below 1, tells us right now is not the time to be in it. SKY. SKY, good long-term potential, less risk associated with it, really strong short-term uptrends. Overall, the stock is favorable currently. DWAC. DWAC, I saw this coming up in the news earlier today, some dark pool trading going in on it. Interesting one here. Poor long-term potential, a lot of risk. However, you're in a really strong decline. So overall, the stock is not favorable still. So dark pools can trade all they want. Right now, it's not one that we want to be trading. AAPL. Looking at Apple. Good long-term potential, less risk associated with it. You are in a strong short-term uptrend. So overall, the stock is favorable. Now, this has been one that has given some negative guidance here as of late. Saw the markets turn lower earlier, and all based off of that news. But looking at Apple from a technical standpoint, from the charts, we zoom into a 3-month time frame. What is price doing here? It's moving lower. Over that same time frame, what is the MACD doing? The MACD is steadily moving higher, setting us up for that bullish divergence. So then all of a sudden, MACD continued to pick up. Price action started reversing. You started seeing a higher low being formed, and that higher low led to higher highs. And now you're breaking above that level of resistance. So a new uptrend could be forming. Now, earnings may be a little bit poorer than what everybody's expecting, but just like we've seen with Netflix and just like we've seen with Tesla, bad earnings aren't as bad as what everybody was expecting. So that bad news is actually turning into good news. And it's similar to what we saw back in 09, where, after the bottom of the market was met, and all of a sudden you started seeing the people were just looking for anything positive they could find after the massive declines they saw from the recession, and came out, the losses were less than what everybody expected. And that was the spark that got the market starting to rally back again. So, keep an eye on that. Right now, the sentiment is extremely bearish. It could turn bearish again, depending on how the Fed plays it over the next announcement on the rate increases. But at the same time, we are seeing some signs that these stocks are really trying to make moves higher here. We just need to see that confirmation or follow through with a lot of them. MELI, good long-term potential, but it does have more risk associated with it. You are in a steady decline to the downside as well, so overall the stock is not favorable right now. EDIT, poor long-term potential, a lot of risk associated with it. However, it does have really strong short-term momentum. So therefore, if you're a momentum trader, a day trader, short-term trader, this could definitely be an interesting one to keep an eye on or keep on your radar. Overall, though, with the increase in momentum currently, makes the stock favorable for the time being, but only for the speculative trader out there. Let's see. Hive, HIVE. HIVE, good long-term potential, but does come with a lot of risk associated with it. Overall, it's in a steady decline. Therefore, the stock is not favorable here. Gold. So you want to look at Barrett Gold. So GOLD. There we go. So GOLD, poor long-term potential, a lot of risk associated with it. You're in a steady free fall. Overall, the stock is not favorable here. Looking at the timing on a 3-month basis, steadily moving lower. MACD is confirming that. 6-month basis, steadily moving lower. You can see the transition here from a hold to a buy for a little bit of time, but then right back to a hold as it started declining, and then hit that sell rating as it continued to move lower. So therefore, it's been, the last signal, the last line of defense came on the 9th of May whenever it hit that sell rating. And that point, it was trading at, what did it close at? 21.50. Now trading at 50 or 15.50. So a $6 drop since it hit that sell rating. And once again, that sell rating is that last signal we're ever going to give you to get out now or hold at your own risk. MRVL, good long-term potential, less risk associated with it. You're in a slight uptrend, so overall, stock is favorable. Now, it has been in a steady decline. Keep an eye on that trend line. Wait for that lower high pattern to be broken out and use that as your guide or your entry to get back into it if you're not already into it. BEAM, poor long-term potential, a lot of risk associated with it. However, momentum is definitely this stock's strong suit right now. RT at 1.97 tells us this stock is rocking and rolling, ripping higher right now. So if you're a momentum trader, this is going to be a stock you'd keep an eye on. If not, you're probably going to stay away from it. SPOT, poor long-term potential, a lot of risk associated with it. However, you do have a short-term uptrend being formed, but not enough to offset the amount of risk involved. So therefore, the stock is not favorable currently. Follow up with you guys. Those ETFs that we started seeing that's made some news over the last few weeks. For anybody not familiar with it, there's brand new contra ETFs or inverse ETFs that just hit the market this week. And they are the first ever inverse ETFs of individual stocks, not an index or not, a commodity, but actual individual stocks. And those got added into the software today. You should be able to see them. Let's see, TSLQ. So it just got added in. Today's going to be the first day, so we're not going to be able to find any info until the market settles later today. But if you're on the desktop, you can look at it on an intraday graph and see their intraday performance throughout the day. But all those have been added in. So if you guys are looking to take advantage of playing bigger name stocks to the downside without having to physically short them or having to use a margin account, we've got some new tools that are being added into the software to help you out, giving you guys some other opportunities there. All right, Meta, META. META, good long-term potential, but less risk, or a little bit more risk associated with it. Stock is steadily free falling here. Let's see. Is that a bad data point? What's going on? Let's go view the stock news. All right, so it must be a bad data point. I don't know what's going on with that, why that's doing that. Yeah, I'm going to have to make sure we get that to our data team. So we'll make sure we get that corrected very, very soon, or right after this stream. I'll have them update that for us. LVS, poor long-term potential, a lot of risk associated with it. However, you do have a short-term uptrend, but not enough to offset the amount of risk with it. So therefore, the stock is still not favorable at this time. Shop, SHOP. Shop, poor long-term potential, but does have a little bit better fundamentals than the average stock out there, so slightly better or less risk associated with it. Timing at 1.07 basically tells us the stock is just treading water currently. So therefore, stock is not favorable at this time. Shop is a very, very strong long swing. Well, has some proving to do before you can actually claim that. Been steadily moving lower for the last 6 months. Now you do have resistance at this $40 range. If you can break above that level of resistance, then maybe there's a shot. But right now, I would wait to have confirmation of that before jumping on board a stock that's been moving lower for the last 6 months. Let's see, RF. Good long-term potential, less risk associated with it. You're in a slight uptrend. Preferably, I'd like to see that timing be a little bit higher. Once again, my minimum criteria is 1.1 or higher, so it doesn't meet my personal minimum criteria. Overall, the stock is favorable, but I'd keep an eye on the RT there. Alphabet. Which one? Yeah, Sue, something's going on. Most likely a bad data point. Let's see, is Glenn in the background? If not, if Glenn's not here getting that sent over right now, I will get it sent over to our development team and get this corrected immediately right after our stream here today. So looking at Alphabet, good long-term potential, less risk associated with it. You are moving basically sideways right now. Overall, the stock is favorable, but I need to see that timing pick back up. Danny, I'm going to have to pass on that one. Appreciate it, though. All right. So there's Google. Just basically moving sideways. I need to see it start picking back up, moving higher before I'd ever take advantage of it or jump on board with it there. MBD. Not finding anything for MBD there. Tesla, TSLA. TSLA. Good long-term potential. Less risk associated with it. Timing is still below my personal preference of 1.1. I need to see it break that point. Overall, it's a good stock. Everything is favorable, but personally, I need to see that timing move a little bit higher here. What if a current holding has an RV greater than 1, an RS greater than 1, but an RT less than 1? Is that a signal to possibly sell? So, Cyborium. There's 4 tips we talk about, or 4 indications you're going to get of knowing when to sell. One of them is when the price or the RT crosses below 1. Regardless of what type of stock it is. If the timing drops below 1, that tells us the stock is now losing us money rather than making us money. And I think everybody in here can agree it doesn't make sense to hold a stock that's losing us money. So once you own a stock, the RT becomes the most important indicator out of these 3 that you need to keep an eye on here. Let's see. Sophie, SOFI. SOFI, poor long-term potential, a lot of risk associated with it. You do have a slight uptrend, but not enough to offset the amount of risk involved in this stock. Therefore, the stock is not favorable currently. BAM, good long-term potential, less risk associated with it. The timing, though, is basically flat. Overall, it's a good stock, but I need to see that timing pick back up. Is there something wrong with that company? What company? What's the RT above? So Cody, it's 1.1. You know, my personal preference is I need to see that RT break that level of 1.1 or higher before I'd ever consider jumping on board with it. So if it's between the level of 1 to 1.09, that tells me that stock is basically just treading water, moving sideways. I need to see at least some sort of an uptrend. So therefore my preference is 1.1 or higher. RYTM, poor long-term potential, a lot of risk associated with it, but look at that timing. At 2.0, stock is basically going straight up, parabolic climb. Therefore, if you're a swing trader, short-term trader, momentum trader, this is going to be a great stock to keep an eye on or trade. But if you're somebody who's, you know, looking to swing trade, longer-term trade, you're probably going to stay away from this one. UMC, we'll do a couple more here before we call it a day. UMC, we have good long-term potential with this one. Slightly more risk than the average stock out there. However, you're in a steady decline on a short-term basis. Overall, the stock is a good stock, but not the right time to be long in it, and that's what the RT tells us. VTGN, poor long-term potential, a lot of risk associated with this one. It's in a steady decline. Overall, the stock is not favorable with this one. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the homepage. And as always, before we jump into this, if you guys want to see more info about what's going on in the markets here today, make sure to come back around 2 p.m. Eastern as my colleague Glenn Tompkins has his Trending Thursdays where he talks about what's hot, what's not, what news is making or what news is influencing these markets. So if you want to see, you know, what's impacting and what's driving these markets currently, make sure to come back around 2 p.m. Eastern and hang out with Glenn for his Trending Thursday. So recapping the market real quick, as we can see, the Dow is still down about 0.5%. NASDAQ actually turning green, up about 0.25%, actually about 1/3% now. S&P 500 now breaking into the green, up about 0.1%. VectorVest Composite, however, still down about 0.1%. We scroll down, we're still 3 ticks into the yellow. Therefore, VectorVest advocates caution when buying stocks at this time. We scroll down even more, taking a look at the advanced declines. Once again, we typically prefer to see a 2-to-1 bias with the advanced declines. Right now, advances are moving up. About 40% of stocks are moving higher. Decliners, about 48% of stocks moving lower. So not meeting that 2-to-1 bias. We have seen the advances, you know, picking up their pace, the decliners pulling back a little bit, but still not meeting that 2-to-1 bias we prefer to see. So therefore, err on the side of caution. Maybe it's a good day just to sit on our hands, wait to see how things play out a little bit, and give the market more time to really develop. So on that note, it's been my pleasure being with you. Thank you all for tuning in here today. If you guys have enjoyed yourselves and haven't already hit that like button, go ahead, hit that like button right below me right now. All that helps us out, doesn't cost you a thing, and shows your support for these streams. So if you want to see these continue, make sure smash that like button right now before we end. So with that being said, once again, come hang out at 2 p.m. Hang out with Glenn if you want to see what headlines are impacting these markets. Be safe out there. Let the trend be your friend. Follow the market guidance. Let the market direction and guidance be your guide through these volatile times. So until next time, take care. Adios and toodles.